Hello and welcome back to From Dial Square to Where with me, Andrew, your host. And look who I've got with me today. Look at him sniggering away like a little.
I'm laughing at you because just before we came on, he's like, "Okay, Glenn, we're going to go live. I just have to play this little intro." So I'm just sitting
Yeah,
here.
I know, and I don't know what happened. It didn't work. So there you go.
Just all I saw was boom, 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 boom.
I know.
Music, and then you staring at the camera.
But it didn't work. I know. I was waiting for it to. I was thinking, what the hell's going on? But there you go. It's just that's technology for you. Hello, but yeah, so good to have you back because it's been too long, my brother from another mother, Glenn.
Yes, it has been very long. I'm really glad that you asked me to come on because it takes me away from the TV wondering who the next president of my country is going to be. You know, it's like you can't stop looking at it, even though everybody's just guessing right now, you know, and so I'm glad that you are diverting me from that right now.
We've been chatting on obviously on WhatsApp, like we're doing. I'll fully explain my thoughts on politics. I don't trust a single politician in the entire world. I think they're all liars. They're all only out for themselves. They will tell you what you want to hear during any kind of election campaign. Doesn't matter what party they represent. They are only in it for themselves. So I don't trust anyone of them.
Dude, I totally get that. But you got to understand, you know, I'm living through this. My wife, who's working from home upstairs, voted for the other person. We each voted for the opposite candidate in my house.
Oh, okay.
And first of all, she's really angry with me. She told me, if your guy wins, I don't even want you to come upstairs for 2 days. I'm like, she thinks she thinks that's a punishment. It's like, wow, extra boost.
Here's Chappers. If he's got some kind of internet signal, we'll let him go. But when he said, "Oh, here we are. How are you?"
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Good.
Great.
All right.
You two know each other.
Good to see you.
No, I've never met you, Andrew. Chappers, if I've met you, forgive me, I don't remember. I probably was high. But no.
Good man.
We should have another guest joining us in a short while.
So
Chappers,
we were just about to talk about United. Did you catch the game today?
Thank you for taking over the present.
I've been a very busy boy today. I've been doing some other work this evening, but I did check the score. I think they were 2-1 down. That was what I was. That's what I looked at. That was the last time I looked at it. It was and I was like, oh, I wonder who they've got, and I'm like, oh, I've never heard of them. So that was fun.
Look at you. I mean, you've got your Movember thing going on, Chappers, but where the hell's Glenn? I can't. You look weird at the moment because you haven't got your tash and your little tiny little Robert Pires beard.
I don't want to talk about my grooming habits. I want to talk about United. And
I know, but you look weird. Are you sure the real Glenn? Are you the real Glenn?
Yes, I'm miserably married with 2 kids. That's my ID. All right, now you know it's me.
But so when she was having a go at you about the election and who you voted for, was she combing her legs at the time?
Am I right? For those of you that don't know, New York has been in lockdown for 7 months, and my wife has not shaved the entire 7 months, and that's what Andrew's talking about right now. Look at Chappers.
He's a rookie.
Wait, check it out. Chappers came on this show smiling and happy. You bring up my wife's leg hair, and now he's dead.
I mean, I've done a little bit of work. I've done a little bit of work landscaping, mate. So I could come around with some chairs or something. I don't know if that's going to help. Maybe.
Oh, you guys!
A hedge trimmer.
As it goes, Andrew. You were saying about the Movember thing. It's actually not a Movember thing. It's just it was a Halloween thing. I did a Gomez Adams costume.
It looked really good. I saw it on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Right, yeah. But I just haven't got rid of it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, all right.
I kind of want to
have your 70s glasses on.
just kind of makes me sort of want to go, me, the 13th Duke of Winmore, here on a podcast, my reputation, Alec Plednab.
You ain't seen me, right?
If it wasn't for the British accent, I'd say you'd look perfect at Woodstock the way you look right now.
Well, I take that very much as a compliment. This is because I didn't get to see the bleeding barber before we got locked down again. So that one's out the window now, unfortunately. But Glenn, no, it's really nice to actually meet you on the screen. I know, I've communicated with you many times, sort of via this show and on Twitter as well. And it's great to see you in the flesh, man.
Yes, same here. Right back at you, chappers. Now, Andrew, would you take control of your show back, please?
Well, if you give me a chance. You haven't changed, have you, Glenn? You haven't changed one bit, have you, Glenn?
No, just go, man, go. I'm on a time limit. Go.
Right. So anyway, I wasn't thinking that character you said, chappers. By the way, I was thinking 70s porn. But anyway, we'll move on.
I can do that too. Oh no, maybe not.
I'm not going to. I just want to have a very quick sort of recap, really, of the weekend's great result. It's been done to death. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I was so proud of the boys at the weekend, and I thought right the way through from the goalkeeper through to the strikers. I think they all had a really good game. Really proud of them, namely. El Neni, I think he's just been a revelation. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. And Rob Holding, what a game he had after being rushed back three weeks early from injury, and he put in one of those performances like he did against Chelsea in the cup final in 2017. I thought he was magnificent as well. Obviously, all the other usuals like Partey and Gabriel, fantastic, absolutely unbelievable. What signings they've been, but I thought those two in particular, considering people haven't had much faith in them, I thought they had great games. I mean, I'll go to you first, Glenn. What was your thoughts on the match overall?
Okay, I don't disagree with anything you said, except the one thing that worries me now that I've had time to think about it and see the reaction of other Arsenal fans is. Do you guys believe El Neni is now the long-term answer next to Partey? I do not. I respect him as a player. I love the fact that he's a man. Arteta said he's a man without an ego. I have tremendous respect for people like that. But to me, in the Arsenal team that I want to see contending for the title, I don't see El Neni as anything more than a squad player. You guys, please tell me I'm wrong. I've been wrong lots of times.
I mean, he's always been brought in. He was always brought in as a squad player. When he was identified by the scouts and by Stat DNA as well, he was brought in as just that, a useful squad player. And he had quite a few bumps in the road here and there. He wasn't getting the regular time that he needed. I mean, he was pretty inexpensive. He's come back since his loan in Besiktas a new man. I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, Glenn, about is he really the long-term answer to Partey? We've really seen one good game between that partnership. But what was interesting to me was that it really did quite click. I think that the thing with El Neni is he's always been a player where you can't necessarily say, well, he's stellar, he's got this, he's got that. But he has always offered a bit of consistency. And I think that one thing that the midfield does need right now is some consistency. We've all seen that clip, I think, of the 91st minute where he is just hustling. He's hustled from the left hand side of the 18-yard and just take it all, hustle them all the way up to the halfway line. And United have had to put the ball out. That's the kind of passion and commitment I want to see from my players. I don't know that he's the long-term answer, but it looks pretty good to me.
Andrew, just give me 10 seconds. You can even time me. I agree with you, Chappers. Consistency, but the thing that worries me is creativity. We didn't have our first shot on goal until the second half, and that's the only thing that worries me. That's why I don't think he's the long-term answer. That's it. That was longer than 10 seconds. Sorry, Andrew.
I didn't. I mean, firstly, I didn't say he was like the long-term answer, and he should be in the midfield for seasons to come. I just said he's been playing brilliantly, and he has. One question, and I know it's just really hard to answer because it's hypothetical. But just try and imagine, just for 1 second, Glenn, that you've never heard of Mohamed El Neni until the start of this season because we just brought him in. Say we just bought him for £20 million, okay, and we popped him in. Based on his performances so far this season, would you that you'd have been really happy with that purchase?
Yes, absolutely. And what I'll say to you is, you guys seem to be old enough. You remember Meatloaf's album "Bat Out of Hell," which propelled him. What if he died in a plane crash 2 months after he released that album? We all would have been like, "Oh my God, we've been robbed of his brilliance." He hasn't done all that much since then. You can't judge it.
Hang on. He's done Wayne's World. He's done Wayne's World since then. I mean, Christ, give him some credit, man.
Absolute classic, dude. Since El Neni's come back from loan, he's been fantastic. Absolutely, and
exactly. That's all we can ask, isn't it? I mean, he's been dropped in there, and I think his performances have been raised by the fact that he's playing alongside Thomas Partey and better players than he had before. I honestly think that the effort, I mean, what you just said, Chappers, in that injury time, it was for absolute inspiration to all the other players around him as well. And the good thing was, I mean, I saw on Twitter afterwards that Ceballos he retweeted the video of him doing that with loads of sort of clapping hand emojis all the way through. It's got to rub off, isn't it? That kind of commitment. That's all I'm saying at the moment.
Dude, we're all arguing and we all agree that it's driving me crazy. He checks all the boxes. Arteta said his teammates love him. I'm sorry I brought it up. I thought that everybody.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think he's going to. We're not going to win the league with him in the team, but I'm just giving him props for his performances at the moment because I would rather have him than Xhaka because he's more mobile and more hardworking.
Sure. I think that's fair to say that perhaps he is not necessarily a Premiership winning player, but as we've seen time and time again with Mikel Arteta, is that he is very, very what's the word I'm looking for here? He's very I can't think of it, but he thinks of things down to the minutest detail when it comes to his game plan, his strategy, and his tactics. And every game for him is different. So if there's a game where actually he thinks, well, I think that El Neni here alongside Partey is probably going to be more beneficial than having, say, Ceballos or Xhaka or Willock, for example, then he's got that player at his disposal. And that player's always ready to give 100% as well,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you can ask. Also, he's extremely cool, I think. Honestly,
you just like that he has hair like Chappers. That's the only reason you like him.
I like the fact he's got hair like Ruud Gullit or a 90s reggae star.
If I could have hair like El Neni. Man, he just seems like a really, really lovely guy. His teammates love him, and even Arteta. Even back in the day when Arteta was playing for Arsenal, they played a total of 22 minutes together on the pitch. Actually, Arteta and El Neni. But even then, Wenger was singing El Neni's praises about how all the team love him, and he's a really popular guy, and they love his commitment and his attitude. You know, he's very, very much like an old-fashioned player, an old-fashioned football player. You know, he turns up, does his job, goes home to his family. You know, and I really love that about him.
May I ask you guys one question? It's just yes or no. Andrew, you always turn yes or no's into a 20-minute answer. If someone if someone offered us 20 million for El Neni tomorrow, would you sell him?
No, not tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll rethink it in the summer. I'll rethink it in the summer, because if we get Champions League, which I think we will,
for crying out loud. Oh my God! Talk about a technicality. All right, pretend it's January.
I think you're right.
January, no.
I think you're right. I was thinking to myself, well, all right then. What on current form? Literally a few days ago, on what current form would I think that El Neni would be sold at? On his current form, what price would I think it'd be sold at? And I thought the same thing. I thought about, well, maybe 20 million. If we were offered 20 million, I think that's probably.
Who could you get to replace him for 20 million quid?
Pardon?
Well, that's
who could you get to replace him for 20 million quid? It's no point. It's useless.
Yeah.
I don't think
How is it useless if it's January and it's the transfer market and you have an extra 20 million for that tight ass Kroenke?
I just asked you a question. Who could you get to replace him for 20 million pounds?
Well, it could go some way to to paying for another target. As I said before, I don't think Awar, for example, I don't think we're going to get him now. But I'm surely they have other targets that they've identified that they want to get. And although maybe 20 million wouldn't pay for the target, it's a big chunk of money towards a transfer that we could make happen.
I would wait until the summer personally, but that's my decision. I'd keep him for the season.
You'd wait till
I would wait until the summer. I wouldn't do anything in January. I wouldn't sell him in January.
If the stories are true with Awar, right? He wanted to come to Arsenal, but his brother is a dick and wanted all this extra money and ruined everything. You're telling me that if you want to go play for Arsenal Football Club and your brother being greedy is the reason that you didn't go, you wouldn't say to your brother, "Shut the F up. I'm going there. You can have 2 million instead of 8 million." You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I agree.
I don't rule him out, because I know that's what I'd say to my brother. Actually, I'd fire my brother, but whatever. So you can't just have this open-ended question: who are you going to replace El Neni with?
There wasn't just that though with his brother as well. He had a phone call from Zidane, or a representative of Zidane, obviously, saying, "Wait until the summer. We want you," and that also made him change his mind about coming to Arsenal.
This is why I don't think we'll get him. I mean, one thing for certain, Glenn, I would not want to replace El Neni with Awar's brother, because as you say, he is a dick. Okay, and this El Neni's the right guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it put me off him.
There's a lovely video of you must have seen Ainsley Maitland-Niles with his little bird catcher video. That's what they call me, the bird catcher. Well, and they're on some little team trip where they feeding parakeets or something like that. And Mo El Neni's in the background, and you can just see his little face, and his little eyes are filled up with wonder. So he's sort of going, oh.
Did he have birds nesting in his hair?
He did not. I tell you what,
Chappers, you have made 10 solid straight minutes of a great defense of El Neni, but you're going to lose me if you're going to say, "Oh, he's so Forrest Gumpy." I'm not.
He's not Forrest Gumpy. He's just a great guy. That is a guy that I want in my dressing room. In fact, this is kind of my dressing room, but
look.
Anytime he likes. That's what I'm saying, man.
No, I agree, dude. You made a great argument. I actually feel like kind of a tool for even bringing it up because you both made great arguments about him. Okay, so can we move on before my wife texts me to go upstairs?
I don't think you're allowed upstairs.
Do you think Chappers? Oh, by the way, Glenn, if you didn't know already, Chappers is obsessed by hair. On footballers. So, got you. Do you think that Rob Holding should shave his hair, or do you think he should go full Bobby Charlton?
You know what? I answered that question in my head even before you gave me the second. Which was exactly that. No, Bobby.
We're
Charlton,
so connected.
obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
Obviously.
When I was 30. I had the hairline that Holding has now, which is practically invisible. And I said, F it, I'm shaving. And I've been that way since. So that's me. It's all individual. Maybe he's going to do this huge comb over we'll all laugh at. I don't care. He had a great game against United. So
he was great. He was really good. Yeah, I really liked his performance.
It's a shame he's like 26 and losing his hair already. There's this my wife doesn't understand how traumatic that is for a guy, and I used this old stand-up comedian's joke. I said, for you to appreciate a guy losing his hair, you'd have to think, okay, what would it be like if your breast just slowly went down your body as you got older? That's what it's like. That's what it's like to lose your hair. It's like they go from here and they just go down and down. So I feel bad for Holding. I think he should shave it and grow a badass goatee or something. That's what if I were him.
Is the female equivalent of shaving your head just kind of snipping them off, don't know?
Oh God, I don't even want to put that one.
I perhaps envisioned. I got too far into that analogy, and actually now I feel I ought to backtrack before.
It's too late. It's fine.
Complaints and actually, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of The Shining recently, and I think my mind's become a little bit too visceral. Let's scoot over that one.
All right, cool.
I've got, in fact, before we move on to have a chat about tomorrow's game as well, I've just suddenly remembered something as well, because I was listening last week. I started listening to a few of the old Tuesday Club podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
With Alan Davis and that brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think they were from 2013, the one I'm listening to at the moment. And one of them, Keith Dover, was talking about the current players that we had at the time and whether they would be a werewolf or a vampire. And it was really funny. I mean, it's some of them. I could start. I think we should go through the squad and say who they would be, because I'll tell you now, I've been saying this for months that Aubameyang is a vampire. Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. He's actually got the teeth just slightly as well.
Yeah.
So I'll start us off with him. Glenn, let's start from the goalkeeper. What would you think? Would he be a vampire or a werewolf?
Or werewolf or vampire? Didn't they cover this in those awful Twilight movies? I mean, now we're applying it to football players.
Yeah, what they look like. What they look like.
What we do.
Leno, definite werewolf.
You reckon?
Yeah, I think I'd go werewolf as well, actually.
Yeah. I was a bit.
When the moon is full, he changes and wanders way outside of his goal for no reason. He's definitely a werewolf.
Yeah. And
Chappers, what about Bellerin? Chappers.
Yeah. Sorry.
What about Bellerin?
I thought you were going to say Bellerin. Bellerin is, I think he's a bit vampy, isn't he? But he's more of a kind of he's a bit like a sort of Tom Cruise sort of vampire. Do you know what I mean? Quite sort of short, vampire. And stylish as well.
Right? Hello, how you doing?
All right, man. You all right?
Yeah, I just got kicked on my ankle playing football, so my legs are really sore.
Oh, sorry to hear it.
Well,
it's
right at your age.
Did you back into you whilst you were in the air, mate, and then land on you?
Yeah, it was almost exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you can catch up, Richard, Andrew has us guessing werewolf or vampire with Arsenal players, and we're up to Bellerin. And I say vampire because vampires are known for their style, but he'd be an effeminate vampire.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah,
Very
I would see him, like you said, Chappers, more in the Tom Cruise Interview with the Vampire type of thing, rather than Wesley Snipes in Blade.
Yeah, Bellerin would have those. Bellerin would have those fluffy little things around his head. You know what I mean?
He would,
wouldn't he just?
Plus he doesn't like crosses, does he? So he probably is.
Terribly.
I bet he has a lot of garlic though. But you know, mind.
What?
Richard, what about Kieran Tierney? Would he be a werewolf or a vampire, judging by looking at him?
He's definitely a werewolf, isn't he? Kieran Tierney.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's definitely a werewolf.
So.
I think so. In fact, I think he actually is. In reality, he actually is. I reckon after midnight, that's it. That's him done.
Yeah, he runs like a werewolf as well, like the speed and pace of him. Yeah. What about the centre? David Luiz. I'll go David Luiz. I'd say he is, despite his hair, I would actually put him down as a vampire.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'm going werewolf all day, mate.
Yeah, I think werewolf. Yeah, I'd go werewolf, David Luiz.
Yeah.
I'll bow to your superior knowledge, you three. What about Rob Holding? Glenn, it's your turn.
What? I didn't get to weigh in on Louise, and I say werewolf also. Oh, now who'd you say?
Rob Holding.
Rob Holding. Ugh. He's tough. I guess vampire. That it doesn't really apply to him. He hasn't
got enough hair, has he, for a werewolf?
Got that kind of gaunt, sort of pointy, angular features of a vampire, though, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's vampiric face.
Yes, yeah. And Winston's put agrees with me. Alba is a vampire out of Red Dwarf. Yeah, he is. Definitely. Chappers, Gabrielle.
There's a vampire in Red Dwarf. Sorry.
It's the cat, isn't it? It's the cat.
Right.
Cat, yeah. He's called the cat, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gabrielle, he's absolutely 100% a werewolf, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he's absolutely savage.
He's got the gnashers, hasn't he? The gnashers for it.
Werewolf all the way. Yeah. They come in his area. He pisses on them. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Left, right, and center.
Winston and Tony. Hi, Tony. Thanks for joining us. Join in. Put what you would put down as well. We're going to midfield now. So, Richard, choose a midfielder and tell us what they'll be.
Danny Ceballos, and he's definitely a vampire.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, all day, and especially when he's got his hair brushed back.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a bun, and that little bun he used to have, definite vampire. That's
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And Glenn. Oh, actually, it's more. I'll go. Well, who else have we got? I'll go for Thomas Partey. Werewolf. It's got to be a werewolf. I think definite werewolf.
Okay, I got myself another 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Glenn, what about El Nini? El Nini, what would he be?
Oh, he's a badass. He's a werewolf. He's all over the place. He's very athletic. Definite werewolf.
Yeah,
100%. Chappers, who else we got in midfield? We're missing
I would argue that El Neni is
Xhaka
to be either.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Chappers. What'd you say?
I was just saying, I would argue that El Neni is actually too nice to be either.
Fair point.
What about Granit Xhaka, Chappers?
Xhaka is clearly neither, and Frankenstein's monster instead, isn't he? That's what he is.
That's just cruel.
Yeah. Tony Curtis put a mummy. All right.
I prefaced this by saying I've done a turnaround on Xhaka thanks to a terrific video done by Tom over at the Gooner Talk showing him statistically against other players around the world. So I say that with that preface. Now, as far as Xhaka goes, vampires can change their form. So I say he's a vampire because he came back from giving this to us, to a whole different person now.
Nice.
So,
nice.
See,
Yeah.
Tony Turner's put about El Neni. He's Egyptian, so he must be a mummy. And
what?
And good call. And Xhaka, black cat. Black cat. Anyway, I would say Xhaka. It's a tough one actually with Xhaka with these features. I would say. What do you say, Richard, about Xhaka?
I think he's a vampire.
Oh yeah.
I thought that initially. He's very pasty, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got a very pasty complexion.
Yeah. Who are we missing out from the midfield? I think that's about it, really, isn't it?
Joe Willock, he's a vampire. Joe Willock's a vampire.
Oh yeah, you could actually see him in Blade, couldn't you? In the the nightclub scene in Blade.
Mm-hmm.
With all the blood raining down.
I haven't watched that scene, that film in ages. Brilliant film.
Oh, I love that tune that comes on as well when they're in that the blood starts pouring down in the nightclub. I can't remember what it's called. It's a really good tune anyway. Right, forward three. I've already done Alba. Alba is 100% a werewolf. Vampire.
Yeah.
Lacazette, Glenn.
Lacazette. He doesn't really fit either one. He's not. All right. I'll go werewolf.
Really? I can see him smiling and then just revealing the two teeth as a vampire.
Yeah.
Because vampires are more cool, aren't they? And he's a very cool bloke, isn't he?
Yeah. All right. You yeah, vampire. I like yours better. I like you. Yes, vampire.
I'm gonna go with werewolf thing, I think, because he's very strong physically. He's got that kind of really strong physicality about him. So for me, it's werewolf.
Yeah, I think werewolf as well.
Yeah. You reckon? Mm.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And what about Pepe, Richard?
Wow.
I'd say vampire. I'd say vampire. He's not a werewolf. He's a vampire.
I think Pepe is one of those. I was thinking about what's his name today, Michael Holding, the West Indian cricket fast bowler, and his nickname was Whispering Death.
That's a cool nickname.
That's a great nickname, right? Because he was just a really, really fast bowler who would just bowl at your body, and really hurt you. But umpires and the batsmen that were at the other end would always say that you could never hear him running up, like even though he absolutely trundled in, like his run up was so quiet and he just chucked this ball so fast. And I feel like Pepe has a touch of that sort of whispering death quality about him. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, whispering death. On the fire side.
That's it. That's your wife.
That's my wife's ringtone. I'll go. I'm not joking. I'll go with Pepe as a vampire because you never know what you're going to get.
Last one for you, Glenn. Last one, quickly. Saka.
I don't forget to answer Pepe. My wife might come drag me off screen at any minute now. All right, what's your question?
Saka.
He's a baby werewolf. He's still growing, but he's moving around. He's got claws, but he's not.
King Wolf.
He's a puppy. He's a puppy, isn't he?
He's a puppy werewolf.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. Wish I had more time, but I seriously have to go. It's a pleasure as always. I hope to see you all real soon. Okay.
Take care.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, Glenn. Speak to you later, mate.
Cheers.
And just for the record, as everyone knows, his wife is a Wookiee. Right. So, what do you think about Saka, chappers?
Well, I can't really disagree with that. When you said Team Wolf, I think you knocked the nail on the head there. That was
Surfing on top of a van. That's what you can see.
You know
Saka
what?
doing,
I actually did that on top of my mate's camper van. I must have been about 17, 18 at the time. And we literally driving through Melksham in Wiltshire, which is, a lovely place. You really should visit.
through the hood.
Driving through Melksham in Wiltshire, Berryfields Park. Back from the shop, and I was on top of his camper van. And looking back at it now, that's really probably one of the most dangerous things I've ever done. But at the time, it was hilarious.
I did it on top of my Mini, and the problem is the Mini had a full length Webasto sunroof, so it was like when I was lying on it, just standing on it, it was like sagging. That was really dangerous. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly go through some of these. Just finish this off with some of these comments as well. 95 Winston, Pepe is a vampire. Tony Turner said Lacazette would be an Anne Rice style vampire.
That interview with the vampire, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pepe is a vampire stuck as a bat, and and Saka. I'm presuming it's Saka, a young wolf in Paris. Absolutely,
American Werewolf in Paris. All right.
Yeah.
I
love that film. American Werewolf in London. Great film that is. Right, let's move on to tomorrow anyway, and who we'd like to sort of see in the team. I'll go to you first, Richard. What are you looking for tomorrow in as a sort of squad, and what were you expecting out of the game?
I mean, I think it will be quite a similar team to last week against Dundalk, actually, just because I think that the Premier League players that played at Man United, most of them I think will be rested. I know injuries at the back are a little bit of an issue still, aren't they? But David Luiz apparently is fit. I don't know whether it might be worth giving him a game, just get him back into the swing of it before Sunday, possibly. Maybe not play the full game, maybe give him 60 minutes or something like that. Mustafi will probably have to play, won't he? Just because we haven't got a lot of other defenders available. I think midfield will probably be similar to last week. I mean, El Neni played, didn't he, against Dundalk? I wouldn't necessarily play him. I think Willock, maybe Xhaka, because obviously Xhaka didn't play against Man United, did he? Or maybe Ceballos. One of those two probably should play because they didn't play. And they're probably not going to play Sunday, are they? Because I'm guessing it will be El Neni and Thomas Partey again. And as for the front three, I mean, Eddie's going to start up front, isn't he? You'd imagine probably Pepe and Nelson again, the front three from last week. I wouldn't anticipate too many changes from the Dundalk game, if I'm honest, other than possibly David Luiz coming in to get a bit more of sharpness ahead of the weekend. Other than that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same team. I mean, probably like 11 changes from Sunday, probably.
It's only because of the pre-match presser. He seemed to intimate that there's going to be not quite the same as the last Europa League lineup, but because before I watched that, I was exactly the same. I thought it's just going to be exactly the same team as against Dundalk. But I can see Luiz coming in, and either, like you said, Xhaka or Ceballos, that's for sure.
I think so. Yeah, I can't see him risking too many of the players he wants to play on Sunday. I just think it's a quick turnaround. He's when the Leicester game, he was complaining about playing tired because he played a similar sort of team, a stronger team, didn't he, in Austria, and then the Leicester game. And I don't know. I think he's learnt from that now, and I think he will go with pretty much a different 11 completely from the weekend and from the coming game as well. Probably that's what I'd assume. I'd be surprised if anybody like Kieran Tierney plays or any of the main kind of important first team players. I'll be amazed. He might have a couple on the bench. Aubameyang will probably be ready to come on if needed. But I think we'll win fairly comfortably. I think it won't be as comfortable as last week. I think it will be a slightly closer game, but I think we'll win with a lot to spare. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3-0 again, if I'm honest.
I heard on I can't remember which podcast it was now, but apparently Mulder, where obviously Erling Haaland started, they've got a new one, a new Erling Haaland apparently, who's a really young kid who looks just as exciting as him. Apparently, I don't know what the kid's name is. Unfortunately, I'll have to have a look after the.
They're a really attacking team, Mulder. I only know this due to the fact that chap I follow on Twitter, who like a little betting guy, so occasionally I have a little accumulator, and it's always Mulder to score 3 or more goals. They're quite an attacking team, but at the same time, I think against us, if we're as defensively disciplined as we have been in the past, then I think it shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Yeah, you have a guess who I'm desperate to see play tomorrow, chappers. I'm not going to ask Richard because I think it's too tough a question for him. But
is perhaps the middle part of his name something to do with, or possibly the most popular, one of the most popular surnames in the UK?
Could be. Yeah, I'm not going to give too much away, but yeah, you're on the right track.
Mohamed El Neni, you mean?
Very good.
Yes, and would the surname of this particular player have be associated with pretty maids and how they're arranged, perhaps?
Or the boat race?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Propelling a boat down the river maybe would have been a better one, but yes, you're right.
I think he deserves a shot, doesn't he? For sure.
I'll be deeply disappointed if he's at least not on the bench. I'm sure he will be because he's fit now. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's game just to see a bit of my old mucker out there. But Tony Turner, I can't believe we forgot Arteta as well when we were talking about the previous thing, which I enjoyed. But Arteta is a vampire for sure, said 95 Winston, and absolutely 100% Winston. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Tony
Turner, he's very hairy, isn't he? So he could get away with being a werewolf.
In fact, you know what? He is. I totally agree. Do you know what? I've actually changed my mind because thinking about it, I think he would be a good werewolf.
He wouldn't need much of a transformation, would he? Because he's got the hair already.
It's too tough a call for me. It's too tough a call. It really could be either.
He's got really sort of thick, coarse-looking hair as well, isn't he? You can just see it coming out of his arms, sprouting out of his arms and legs.
But he's ice cold. He's ice cold. His demeanour is, for me, and that's very vampiric.
Anyway, enjoyed that. So, Tony Turner, I wouldn't be surprised to see Xhaka as centre-back again. That possibility, actually, because back three, maybe. Is he fit? Emile Smith-Rowe, I'm presuming you're talking about TT. He is fit. He is available for selection. Arteta is a vampire with his helmet hair. Yeah, I don't agree. I think
it's werewolf hair. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's werewolf hair. That
I think he is. Or is he a shapeshifter? Winston said he could be a shapeshifter.
That's a possibility as well.
I'm actually a little bit scared now. I know Halloween's past and everything, but
do you remember a program back in the 80s? Not a lot of people remember it, but it was around the time of Knight Rider and A-Team and all that sort of stuff. It was called Manimal. Do you remember Manimal?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah,
and it's a man who could change into any animal in the world.
Yes, I do.
That was. I mean, it wasn't great.
That was Saturday afternoons, wasn't it?
But he was a shapeshifter and could only change into animals, though. Yeah, it's really funny. Not funny, but weird. Really weird. But I don't think he took off very much. But yeah, don't you remember it, Rich?
I enjoyed it. It was very good. Good.
I actually don't.
Yeah, let's have a look at that on YouTube. It's mental, absolutely mental. But yeah, that could be Arteta. He could be one of those. But what do you think score-wise, chappers? I mean, I think we might even do better than we did against Dundalk. I'm I'm going to go for 4-0. I think it's going to be really comfortable tomorrow. I really do. I don't want to discount them because they're clearly better than Dundalk, but I still think we're going to have a really good win tomorrow, and I think it really could be quite a good one to watch.
I think we'll attack them, and we'll see how that goes. After maybe 20 minutes or so, see what happens. If we haven't scored by then, I think we'll probably opt to something a little bit more conservative. However, I don't know. I think we will concede a goal. I think one way or another we'll concede a goal. Certainly, if we put our foot on the gas a little bit, then we might get caught out with if it's not the first team defence that are in action. I think we might find ourselves conceding a goal or maybe two. But I think also at the same time we want to see free flowing attacking football, don't we? And we have the quality to be able to do that. So I think this match is one where he's going to go, all right, we'll go for it first 20, 25 minutes and see what happens kind of thing.
See, I think he's going to really try and fine-tune the midfield and attack and the creativity, in these games, personally, and try out new ways of playing. So, and I can't see us. I mean, you say you can see us conceding a goal. See, we're not that team anymore. For me, I don't think. We've got the best defensive record in the Premier League, and I don't think we're going to throw away goals anymore. We're too well drilled for that. I think personally,
disciplined.
We are, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I still think that we'll be in that position where we're going to score a load more than you. But you might score one.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm going to go for 4-0. What did you give the score?
I did not. So I'm going to go. I'll go 4 or 5-1. 4 or 5-1. I'll go 5-1. Why not?
Yeah, good. Yeah. And what did you say, Rich? Did you give a score prediction?
I said 3-0. But actually, having just what Chaplin just said there, the last time we played a Norwegian side in Europe was actually Rosenborg, and we beat them 5-1 at home. So maybe that's an omen. So maybe Chappers is right. But I'm going to stick with 3-0 anyway.
Yeah, fair play.
I remember them.
Fair play. I mean, I'd be happy with any of those score lines, to be perfectly honest, as long as we give a good account of ourselves. But I can't see us conceding a goal personally. But fingers crossed. Like to keep the clean sheets going.
I think it depends on who he plays in defence, doesn't it, as well, partly. I mean, if Chappers is right about Mould being quite an attacking side, I'm not necessarily sure they're going to come and attack us greatly, but if they've got decent attacking players, I think they might have, then they could cause us one or two problems. If we've got maybe a Mustafi or a Kolasinac in defence, then you never know, dear. It's a possibility they might score. But I think we'll have too much for them overall, and it should be a reasonably comfortable victory again, shouldn't it? So, but yeah, we've got certain of our players, although now I agree, we're a lot more disciplined defensively as a team. We've still got one or two players who are going to probably play who have got a mistake in them. And as a result of that, could end up costing us a goal. And we don't really know what our goalkeeper, this Runeson's, like yet, do we? He had nothing to do last week, really. So if he has a few more shots to save, if he has a few more things to deal with, we'll actually see maybe what he's about as well. We don't really know yet, do we? Hopefully he's pretty solid, and he looks like he's good with his feet, which is nice. But what's he like with his hands? That's what we need to find out as well.
I'm excited to see that, to be fair.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
he did make a really good save actually against Dundalk. He did make a really good save.
He did. It was going wide, but he didn't know that, did he?
It was, but he didn't. No, exactly.
Wide,
yeah.
It was a good save.
You know what I like? I really enjoyed when the game finished. He was absolutely delighted, and I saw the goalkeeping coach come on to the pitch and literally looked like he was going to burst with happiness for Runeson. And they both sort of had a big hug, and they were really happy about it. I thought it was a pretty nice thing to see, actually. It
was, but I mean, I don't think Dundalk actually had a shot on target, did they? So the clean sheet.
No.
I could have gone in goal and kept a clean sheet. As as you know, as much as it must have meant a lot to him personally on his debut, it was quite an easy game, and I'm sure he's going to have a little bit more to do tomorrow, isn't he? Probably, I would say, looking at their team in relation to Dundalk, you'd imagine he's going to have 2 or 3 shots on target to deal with and save, and hopefully he's good enough to keep him out.
Yeah, I hope so.
Keeper, Rich.
Sorry,
you much of a keeper?
Not really, no.
I mean, you know,
but with no shots on target at me, I might keep a clean sheet if there was no shots on target towards
I
me
expect
goal.
you'd be in some big, some of those massive, oversized UHL sport gloves. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always too big for your hands.
You couldn't even move your fingers.
I know, exactly. Well, Winston's gone for a 3-1 win, and Tony Turner's put would be nice game for Chambers to get 30 minutes running, and yeah, it would. I'm really looking forward to seeing him come back. However, I've read online today that they're looking to give him starts in the under-23s, 2 or 3 games there to get his fitness up as well. So whether he's going to get a run out tomorrow, I doubt it. But
no, it does.
He could play the last 2 or 3 Europa League games. We'll have to wait and see. But it'll be good to see him back, actually, because before he got injured, he was playing really well. I was really pleased with him.
No, he was. He was, yeah. He was
now, the next thing really is because did you 2 guys see the pre-match presser? Have you watched it?
I did not.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it earlier. Yeah.
Saliba came up, obviously, and I think that it's quite apparent that he's a bit pissed off with himself. I think Mikel Arteta. He said he's fed up with the situation, and he sort of made a mistake. He made a mistake by leaving him out, but obviously he couldn't see what was going to happen in the future about losing so many central defenders to injury. I don't know. He's talking about, because he was asked again whether he's going to go out on loan in January now as well, and it's basically sort of intimated that it is a possibility that will happen. I don't know. I'm really torn now, because a few weeks ago I would have said, excuse me, definitely would have sent him out on loan. I'm not so sure now, because he's been with us for quite a long time now, in and amongst the squad. And I don't know if you've noticed a lot of the back behind the scenes videos on the website. He's always there, and he seems very, very much part of the squad, and he's very happy and
very confident. And
I'd be more likely to, depending on where the loan is, I wouldn't loan him to the Championship or something personally. I don't think that would be good for him. I think he'd be better off just starting to play a few games for us personally. I really do. Under Mikel Arteta's guidance. He can
actually play in the Premier League, can't he? Because he's under 21? He can actually play in the Premier League. You could redo your squad anyway in January. He can anyway. But he could also play all the Carabao Cup. He could play the FA Cup games. Yeah.
I would rather do that with him personally than send him out on loan to the Championship. But if he could go back to maybe St Etienne for the second half of the season, then I'd probably do that.
That would be the scenario.
What I don't want to do, I don't want to see him in the Championship for a number of reasons, and I've mentioned those reasons in previous shows, so I won't go back through them all again. But what do you think, Richard? Do you know what I mean? I just don't know what's...
See, he needs to be playing football first and foremost.
Yeah.
He needs to be playing football. He hasn't played competitive football, has he, since February or March, whenever it was. Long time. So he needs to be playing football. I actually wouldn't necessarily think it bad if he did go to the Championship. Maybe somebody like Brentford, a team like that. Simply because one reason I do think the Championship helps to players to adapt to the physicality of English football, especially for a defender playing in the Championship. I think that could be really good for him. But he would need to be in somewhere where the team plays a good footballing style, so he can adapt to that. You don't even want to play for a long ball kind of team, does he? He wants to play for a team that play football. And secondly, he needs to be able to play regularly. so that means playing, at least 2 out of every 3 games as a minimum, really, if he's going to go on loan for the rest of the season. It's no good him going on loan like Nketiah did and playing about 4 games, because that's not what he needs. He needs to be playing regular football. I think someone like Brentford would suit him. I don't know what Brentford's situation's like in defenders. I don't know if they've got 3 or 4 good centre-halves and he won't get much of a game, but he needs to go somewhere. I think the Championship would be good for him, but it needs to be, I say, somewhere that he can play football and play regularly. And if he can do that, then even if he goes on loan for 2 or 3 months and gets maybe 6 or 7 games, just to toughen him up, sharpen him up, get him ready, and then he can come back and do maybe a job for us towards the end of this season. Maybe stick him in the Europa League squad for the knockout stages and get him playing for us later in the season. But he just needs to be playing right at this moment in time. It's absolutely waste of time him just training with the team and playing under 23s. That's not what he needs. He needs to be playing proper competitive football. And if he's not going to play for us, he needs to be out on loan playing every week.
That's so interesting. It's so interesting that you mentioned Brentford, because that was the first team that, when Andrew mentioned the Championship, that was the first team that came into my head. They really do suit. You're absolutely right. They really do suit the style, and I think that is the sort of team where he would thrive. Not only that, but also I think there's a couple of players that they're quite interested in, namely their goalkeeper. So that would, be a little bit of a what do you call it? I can't think of that.
A sweetener.
Sweetener. I was thinking smoother. Smoother is not a word at all. This is Bristolian. Smoothner. Let's do a little smoothner for you. What we say in Bristol. We just makes up words, don't us? A little smoothner. No, a little sweetener. They're after their keeper, aren't they? Raya, David.
Well, I mean, what you got to remember as well, that there's obviously that guy at Aston Villa. He came out of Brentford and has adapted straight away to the Premier League. West Ham have just got that Barama, haven't they? And he's come from Brentford and goes straight into the Premier League. So I do feel that'll be a good grounding for him there as an option. But it depends on that. I don't know what their situation's like with defenders. I say if they've got regular defenders who are playing week in, week out, and he won't get much game time, then it's pointless him going there, isn't it? He needs to be somewhere where he's going to play. Winston then his chat just put Watford, actually. That's not a bad shout either. Watford, yeah, that could be a good shout for him as well. Watford, yeah.
I just think that if he's going to be ready to go and play in the Championship twice a week, you know how hard the Championship is. If he's going to be ready for that in January, I would rather him play for us under Mikel Arteta's guidance and getting used to our system. If he's ready for that, he's ready for to play for us. I think personally, why not integrate him quicker? I just think it makes sense because it's a really, really tough league, as we know, Championship.
Yeah, no
matter who you play for, and there's a lot of games to play, one after the other. I think he'd be better off playing a few games for us, personally.
I mean, we don't know what Arteta's kind of seeing every day in training, do we? I mean, the fact that he left him out of the Europa League squad originally, and he's not even played him yet, he hasn't even put him in a Premier League squad, tends to suggest to me that Arteta feels he's not ready to play for us yet. Whether it's whatever reason, we don't really know, whether it's to do with the fact he hasn't played competitive football for a while, whether it's to do with the fact of the personal circumstances that he's gone through as well. I don't know what it is, but clearly there's something there. Or Arteta would have put him in the squad at least by now, wouldn't he? And he would have included him in the Europa League squad, surely. So we don't know what's going on. It doesn't make sense.
He can include him in January, though. He can include him in the Europa League squad in January.
He could, and he could, and he might do. But if he's not played between now and January, he's unlikely to change his kind of style with him now. He's not going to suddenly throw him in the Europa League squad in January if he's not played between now and January, is he? Probably not. He needs to play football, doesn't he?
I think it also depends on, when you're looking at the pecking order of central defenders in the squad, where exactly is in that. Obviously, we've got, I think it's 5 billion at last count, centre backs. So where does he stand?
4 billion of which are injured.
So where's it? I mean, Pablo Marie still to come back. Chambers is still to come back. And you just don't know. Obviously, James has had a lot more experience in the Premier League. Rob Holding's playing well. David Luiz is coming back from a short injury. There's a lot to choose from, and you really don't know you don't know where he is. I mean, I thought he played. Did he? Was it? I'm just thinking about pre-season. Did he play in the?
He played against MK Dons.
MK Dons, yeah.
MK Dons.
One half.
I mean, I thought he had a good little showing in that. But obviously, since then, you've got the whole mental and physical thing is connected, and perhaps that set him back a little bit. And you've got all these other players as well, seeing that team mentality, all jostling for a place in the side. It's I mean, it's anyone's guess where he is at the moment in the pecking order. But if he's not where we kind of want him to be, I suppose, then absolutely he should go on loan.
Because he's starting every under 23 game now, isn't he? In Premier League 2, so that's positive. That is good. I'm not saying that's good for his future, and his, I'm just saying it's good that he's playing those games because they obviously model their style on the way that Arteta wants to play as well. So he will be getting used to doing the right things there under Steve Bold. But we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a really interesting one in January. Because
I think Gabriel's form actually has maybe changed Arteta's mindset to the whole thing, because I don't think he would have expected Gabriel to come in and do what he's done so quickly and so consistently. And I think that's maybe been a bit of a surprise. So maybe he was expecting that not to happen, and then he thought, well, maybe Saliba will get more game time, rotating maybe with Gabriel and stuff like that. But obviously now Gabriel has almost become a senior defender, hasn't he, in very short space of time. And I think that's maybe a bit of a shock to everybody's shocked by that. I think how quickly he's done it. And maybe Arteta's thought, well, he's now my main defender. And as Chapman says, we've got lots of other defenders as well. And some are fit and some aren't, but they will soon be. And exactly. So, maybe Arteta's thought to himself, you know what? Saliba is at this moment surplus to our requirements at this moment in time. And maybe going out on loan or something else is going to be more beneficial to him. But I don't know. We don't know enough about Saliba, do we, really, to judge? I mean, who would have thought Gabriel would be this good? I mean, Saliba might be the same. We don't know. Or he might be another Mustafi. We just don't know yet, do we? So Arteta knows where his mindset is. So I'm going to trust Arteta's judgment for now, and let's see what happens.
In the last presser last week, he had really good things to say about Saliba. He really did. He was very positive about him, saying he's coming along really nicely now. We'll have to wait and see. But if it works out well, what a partnership they could have. Mustafi.
It could
got me acting Mustafi now. Saliba and Gabriel. It's mouthwatering. I can't wait.
If Saliba's
going to be the case.
If Saliba's sort of, 75% as good as Gabriel has been, then that would be a fantastic partnership, wouldn't it?
He's possibly, from everything that everyone was said, and this is from French football experts, that he was the best defender in Liga, and obviously Gabriel was playing in Liga, and he was classed as better than him. So I mean, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. I'm not counting my chickens, but my God, that could be impressive. It could be so good, so good. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
The guy's only 19 years of age. I mean, I know
exactly,
people are absolutely gagging to see him because he cost 28 million or whatever it was that he cost. But we have so much time and so many defenders on our roster and a new defensive mentality that they've all bought into. There is no rush to see the guy. And if he needs to go out on loan, he needs to go out on loan, and that's fine. I just think we all need to be realistic about the fact that this is essentially a young kid. And all right, I know that we have the likes of Nelson and Willock and Saka breaking through into the team, and I think that might have actually brought our expectations up a little bit. Of okay, well, he's young. They're young. He's young as well. Why aren't we seeing him? But I just think we need to be patient with the guy, really.
I think the positive thing is that Arteta is regretting his decision not to put him in the Europa League squad. And I think that if he could turn back the clock, Saliba will be playing tomorrow. And that's a big thing to take into account. You could tell that by.
But that's more to do with the
Arteta's
injuries, though, isn't it? I think that's more. He regrets not putting him in the squad because of the injuries that we've subsequently suffered, which he couldn't have foreseen at the time, I suppose. And that's unfortunate. I don't think he necessarily would regrets it because
if he wasn't good enough, though. If he wasn't good enough, though, he would not even be in the conversation, would he?
Yeah, that's true as well. But he had an opportunity to put him in the squad and he didn't take it for a reason. And now he thinks, actually, we've got a lot of defensive injuries. I could have maybe done with him. And unfortunately, that's the situation. So I think he regrets it from that point of view because he had an opportunity. He could have put him in the squad ahead of, say, Chambers, who's not played for ages. Certainly up until Christmas, not having Chambers in the Europa League squad would probably have made more sense in a sense because of he's just come back from an injury. Maybe sending him out on loan might have been a good idea. I don't know, but that would have possibility. But the fact he didn't do that, the fact that he left Saliba out, there must have been a reason in his mind that made sense at that particular time. He didn't feel he was ready, clearly. And that's the decision that he made. And maybe he's progressed in the last couple of weeks well in the under-23s and stuff like that. And maybe he feels actually maybe he was ready and I've maybe made a mistake. But he can put it right in January. But let's see what happens. It'd be interesting if in January he leaves him out of the squad again. Then we'll probably know that something behind the scenes, Arteta's seen that he doesn't feel he's ready yet. And like I said, we just have to trust Arteta's judgment on it. He's not got too many things wrong so far, the odd things here and there, but overall we've got to trust him and see how it plays out. I mean, I think that, as Chapper said, we all want to see him, don't we, Saliba? We've paid a lot of money for him. He seems to have been at the club for a long time, and we've never seen him yet. And we're all desperate to see how well he does. He had that little bit of a cameo in that friendly. He looked good. But
he looked really good in that, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked good, but we're going to have to be patient, aren't we? Because I'm not expecting to.
I'm a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit taken aback. I just wanted to go like, Jesus Christ, boys, because I just Googled William Saliba hair. And I tell you what, fucking hell, seriously, they're like little ringlets. They're beautiful, and they've got the little highlights in them as well. Fucking hell, just Google William Saliba hair, boys. You won't be disappointed.
I know what you mean.
That's what I want to see.
I've just seen it.
From my team. I want to see some high quality hair. It doesn't, and the more variety, the better, obviously. I'm a little bit of an aside there. I am sorry. But
no. There's
it's amazing hair, actually. To be fair, it's amazing.
It is amazing. These little ringlets, they're beautiful.
Yeah. It's incredible that. Yeah, no, I'll get you with that. I'm definitely with you there. I think that's it's impressive.
This.
There's three.
Somebody's just said in the chat there, sorry, in the comments, pairing with Chambers. Just imagine that. I mean, from a hair point of view, obviously, because we couldn't take Gabriel out of the team, but you've got Chambers with his new sort of Tyrion Lannister thing going on. I mean, I think it would be. I would.
We've got 3 17-year-olds been drafted into the Europa League squad for tomorrow's game as well. And I haven't heard of a couple of them. Yeah. One of them is a defender called Zane Monlouis.
Right.
Midfielder, Omari Giroud Hutchinson. And Charlie Patino. I've heard of Charlie Patino, who's really well thought of.
Yeah, he's
really well thought of.
Patino's meant to be really good, isn't he?
Yeah,
I've never heard of the other two, though. That's really interesting.
No, I haven't.
But they've been drafted into the squad ahead of the Mulder game, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Good luck to those 3. Definitely. But they're all 17, apparently. But I was going to say as well, what was it? I've completely lost track. I was going to go on to something else, which I just saw.
Well, that's all right. I had a question that I was going to ask you fellas. And that was about Joe Willock and about Reece Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, the last Europa League game that they played, they both had a really good game, really shocking from the team, and showed how their development has really come on. But Do you think then that they'll both be included tomorrow, or do you think that maybe one or both might be left out of the team and included in the squad on Saturday? Or is it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
Squad on Sunday.
I don't play tomorrow.
Do you think that they've played themselves into contention yet, or no?
I wish they had. At least to be on the bench. I think they should be on the bench, definitely, because they are players that can make a difference at the end of the day if you're chasing a game.
Work particularly is an interesting choice, and I think with the Europa League happening, and as you were saying, Andrew, about Arteta experimenting with and tweaking the system, that Willock should get another decent run out. But I think it would be very, very interesting to see him and what he'd add to the dynamic, especially if they have kind of this midfield three thing going on. What he would add to that dynamic with Partey.
Exactly, yeah. I think he should be on the bench for Premier League. But the problem is, though, and it came across massively again in the presser, the pre-match presser, that we've got so many games in such a shortened season. It's still got to finish in May, the season, and everything's got to be done. We're going to be playing so many games, and he literally has got to start thinking of not just the next game, or next week, but in basically months ahead potentially, which sounds weird, but when you think you've got to think maybe to when the games really start getting even worse than they are now. Christmas isn't that far away, is it? It's like 8 weeks, maybe something like that. Crazy, but
the shops have said it. The shops have declared it, mate. It's pretty much upon us.
So,
even though they're all shut,
you've got to start thinking of that, haven't you? About managing your squad, and it looks like he has at the moment got a cup squad and the Premier League squad. So, and you can't blame him for that, really.
No,
because we've got two Carabao Cup games in December, haven't we? I think.
Well, if we get through the first one.
Yeah, well, exactly. Of course we will. It's only Man City.
Yeah,
piece of piss. Yeah, so.
They're bored of the Carabao Cup by now, anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, they've won it 3 years in a row, haven't they?
Yeah.
Someone else needs to win it. They'll just let someone else win it this year, and it might as well be us. We haven't won it for years, have we? So it'd be nice.
No.
I genuinely think our name's on the trophy. I'm that confident. I think we will win it this year.
What, the League Cup? Carabao Cup?
Yeah.
No, this time then.
I need to check the statistics, right? But as far as I'm aware, I can't remember the last domestic cup run where we won a game on penalties and didn't go on to win the competition. I can't remember when that last happened.
Really?
Because
we're doing it the hard way, aren't we?
2005 FA Cup, we won a penalty shootout against Sheffield United. Obviously, 2014, we won a penalty shootout against Wigan in the semi-final, and then we went on to win it. I can't remember the last time we won a penalty shootout in an earlier round of a cup competition. I know in Europe we have, but I mean in a domestic competition, I can't remember the last time we did that. So obviously we won the penalties against Liverpool. So maybe you're right. Maybe our name is on the cup this year. Maybe that just proves it. And I think if we beat Manchester City, I think that will almost certainly prove it, especially if we beat them on penalties.
I think he'll play a full strength team against City. Clearly,
I think he'll be almost full strength. I don't know if it'll be completely. Bearing in mind that's the week before Christmas, isn't it? We've got a Boxing Day game, a game between Boxing Day and New Year's game. You know, we've got a lot of games in a short space of time there, so I don't think he'll play full strength, but it will be a stronger team than in the previous rounds. I would say so. I think Arteta wants to win it, doesn't he? He'll want to win that now.
He wants to win everything he goes in for. He's got that mentality, and he will not want to lose to Pep under any circumstances. So I think he will.
We just want those players like Willock and like Nelson and like Nketiah, for instance, to kind of keep stepping it up and putting themselves into contention and making themselves, giving the manager a few options really.
At least with the convoluted season we've got, they are playing every single week if they carry on like this. In the cups, whatever cup it may be, there's always going to be a midweek game, so they're going to play at least one game a week, and that's quite good in that respect. I mean, I was really enthused with the and you've got to say it was only Dundalk, but I really enjoyed that performance from a lot of our players, and the way that we played. I thought it was a really good watch. I really enjoyed the game. Obviously, we did the watch along, didn't we? And I was saying it at the time. I was really happy with the way that we played, and it was still a bit, rough around the edges and frayed, but I liked that about it in lots of ways. I think we were quite relentless in the way that we were attacking. We didn't get enough goals and maybe shots off, but I think that the way that we're attacking was a lot more encouraging. And I like especially what you mentioned, Chappers, with those two players, Willock and Nelson. I thought they were very, very impressive. I was
just going to say,
you're not surprised at either of them.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Andrew, you've been a bit down with the team about their attacking sort of prowess recently, haven't you? So I guess that was a bit of a tonic for you in that.
Yes, I said this on Richard's great show, which we'll obviously we'll plug at the end. Make sure everyone goes over to that as well. But I said it. I believe it is firmly down to the fact that Mikel Arteta is still not 100% happy with the defence. And like I say, sorry for saying this again, Richard. I know you've heard this before, but I do believe that. I don't think he's got the full confidence in his back line yet with regards to playing out from the back. Yeah. And as soon as that is literally second nature and he's got no concerns, then he will not fully release the handbrake, I don't believe. I think that's the way I see it. And because he still wants to, be very solid defensively, and because we keep slightly letting ourselves down with some of the playing out from the back, we've made mistakes. Leno didn't have a very good game against Rapid Vienna, did he, for example, and so on. But until he's fully happy with that, then I don't think he will release the midfielders to properly support the attack and put in a midfield three with an attacking midfielder in there. I don't think he'll do that until he's fully happy. Yeah,
I feel like that, but yeah, back four is what I mean, not that. That's a five.
Sorry,
Quick man.
You know what I mean.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And putting the back four.
I think that's the reason. I genuinely think that's the reason. He's not happy yet that we've got it properly nailed down.
About that is his absolute insistence. Is absolute insistence on it, even if it does sometimes cause problems. It's like, no, lads, we are going to nail this. I believe in you. I believe we can do this. And this is what we're doing. And
it took Pep a long time. It took Pep at least 2 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah.
When he went into Man City.
Yeah.
So
it's taken a while, and sometimes. Yeah, and I think the most depressing thing is when you go on Twitter, sometimes you look at it and you just go, all right, just calm down, everybody. It not
was more attacking against Dundalk because we didn't even play a defence. I don't think we had a central defender on the pitch in the back end of the game, did we?
Well, Kolasinac, by the way, definitely vampire.
Oh God, yeah. Actually, no. Werewolf, with his body, yeah. He's got the
he's got the shoulder,
the upper body shape, definitely, yeah.
He's got the shoulders for a werewolf, definitely, yeah.
That's true. See, I'm thinking more his haircut and his pasty little face.
He's got quite a really well manicured beard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You would think that if he didn't have it properly so manicured, that it would be really sort of thick and bushy, like David Bellamy.
I'll take it back.
Richard, I'm going to go to you with sorry, Chappers.
That's all right.
So go. I was going to say, Richard, I'm going to go to you with just a quick sort of subject, really, and it's really pissing me off. And that is Roy Keane. Did you see the Roy Keane stuff after the game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
there's one thing really. That, I mean, the argument between. I mean, fair play. I'm not just saying so because of the what he said after the game, but I've always liked Tim Cahill. I always wanted Arsenal to get him because I used to see him quite regularly playing for Millwall before he went to Everton as well because he was there before.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
And I really rate him, and he scored one of the best World Cup goals I've ever seen for Australia. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That volley, he's got. Oh, what a goal that was! I mean,
yeah,
I love him as a player.
Yeah. He was a great player. Yeah, he was.
And he was obviously backing up his mate, Mikel Arteta. And but what Roy Keane said when he was talking about our players and how they were being disrespectful to Mikel Arteta for calling him Mikel. He goes, "What's that all about? What's that all about? It's Gaffer. It's Gaffer.
It's the Gaffer or the boss."
What a knobhead! I mean, he still thinks he's back in the 80s and 90s. I mean. Don't get me wrong. I do like Roy Keane in lots of cases, and but he's starting to do it on purpose and become a caricature of himself. I think he's doing it on purpose
at the expense of possibly what he really thinks, and at the expense of what could be some decent insight. But yeah, you're right. He
exactly
pantomime villain sort of persona.
I just think he's just bitter. He comes across, there was that program he did with Patrick Vieira, do you remember? And he was talking about Alex Ferguson, and he just comes across as bitter about everything. And it's like he's got a massive chip on his shoulder. I'm not quite sure what's happened in his life, but he seemed just very bitter. And it's like, he had a very good playing career, didn't he? He won pretty much everything there was to win. Captain of Manchester United. A great player. I can't understand what he's got to be bitter about, really. But obviously, things have gone on. It must have done, because I actually don't think he's being like that as a character. I actually think that's just him. I just think that's just who he is.
Really,
he never got the better of Patrick Vieira, and he will never live that down. He knows that Patrick Vieira came out on top.
Well, he knows Patrick Vieira was a better all-round player than Roy. Roy Keane wasn't a great player. He had a great career, and he used his talents that he had in the best way possible to get the maximum out of what he could. And fair play to him. I've got no problem with that. Yeah, he's one of the top captains in the Premier League history, isn't he? But he clearly wasn't as good a technical player as Patrick Vieira or most of the Arsenal team at that time. And I don't know whether that's why he's bitter, but he won a lot more trophies than Patrick Vieira, so he shouldn't be, should he? Because, he won the Champions League, they won the treble and all kinds of stuff, didn't they? They won a lot more Premier Leagues. So I don't know, but I just think that's him. I just think that's who he is. I think that's his personality. He's had problems throughout his career, didn't he? He's clashed with people, did the Ireland thing at the World Cup and all that kind of stuff. He's had a lot of stuff. His personality doesn't fit well with a lot of other people, and he's a bit of an individual, and that's just who he is. And he comes out with absolute terrible crap that makes no sense whatsoever most of the time. And that attack on Arsenal at the weekend and the Mikel Arteta was completely unnecessary. But I just feel that's just how he thinks.
He's a Messiah. Well, all right, thanks, Roy. Yeah, he is. Sorry, Rich.
No, you're right. I actually think the stupid thing was,
he was going on about Tim Cahill sticking up for his mate, Mikel Arteta. And he goes, you're only saying that because he's your mate. Well, basically, you're only saying that because he's your mate. But how two-faced can he get? Because he will never say a bad word against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's his mate.
Yeah.
He's doing exactly the same. He will never criticise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's always the players that are letting him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
also, going back to that Patrick Vieira thing, you only really need to look at the fact that, all right, so Patrick Vieira's been in 2 pretty decent and successful management jobs, and Roy Keane has also been in 2 management jobs as well. And Roy Keane's now flogging himself doing shit punditry, whilst Patrick Vieira is actually having quite a nice or carving out a nice managerial career for himself.
Yeah, he's doing well.
I think that really kind of says it all more about the character of each of those men, and the professionalism as well of each of those men.
Yeah,
I mean, I still can't get over out of my head that quote from his autobiography. And
about Alfie Garland.
Yeah, what a meanie. What a
Well,
meanie.
do you know what though? No, honestly, that really, I've never liked him in particular because of the rivalry we've always had. We always hate anything to do with Man United, but I've always had a really good, healthy respect for Roy Keane, and he's one of those players you think, you can't knock him. He's one of those players you hate coming up against. But that completely made me utterly anti him because I'm not being funny, right? But he's admitted to actual bodily harm on another human being. He should have been in prison for that. That bloke never played again, did he? Not to any kind of level. He wrecked his career, and he openly admitted that it was obvious anyway to anyone that saw it. But he literally snapped that guy's leg into smithereens, and that you can't do that to any other human being. That's actually I never understood why he wasn't arrested and put into prison for that and taken to court. Why wouldn't you? But honestly, you might laugh or whatever. But that was a really, really serious attack. It was actually an attack. It wasn't like a tackle, was it? It was an attack on another human being. And I don't know why that he didn't press charges against him and take him to court for that. I really don't. Can you give me an actual valid reason why that didn't happen? Either of you. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, he wouldn't be so fucking hard in prison, would he?
No, I bet he wouldn't. Mind you, he would never. I mean, Tony Adams got, I know it completely wasn't an assault or anything, but he got put in prison for drink driving, which quite rightly. So why didn't you get taken to court for actually assaulting another person and snapping their leg into bits like a matchstick on purpose?
Yeah,
I mean, far more serious than it's not more serious than drink driving because obviously that's very serious as well. But you could have killed someone, but. I think you get my point.
Well, it's almost what Roy Keane done was a premeditated assault, wasn't it? It wasn't. I mean, in sport, you can hurt somebody by accident. I got hurt tonight by accident playing football, right? And it does happen. But Roy Keane planned that, didn't he? Before the game, he'd planned to do it. The first time, it was premeditated. So that's actually a lot worse. I mean, drink driving, you could say is premeditated as well because you've gone out to drink and then you've drove. But a lot of the times, people don't. They don't think about it like that, do they? They just do it without thinking. But that was actually a pre-planned assault on Haaland, and he should have been seriously punished for that. I don't know whether prison would have been the correct punishment. I'm not sure, but he certainly should have.
Why not?
Well, no, maybe it is. I don't know, but he should have certainly been punished a lot more because you can't go around in sport, particularly saying, "Well, I'm gonna really hurt this opponent of mine," and actually going out and doing it because that's just not on. You can't be allowed to do that and get away with it. You can't because that's not. I don't
think. How about we dealt with separately just because it was on a sporting field? It shouldn't be separate from any kind of other attack on another person. I think it was that bad personally.
How about we sentence him to a lifetime of punditry with Richard Keys and Andy Gray? That would be good.
I mean, that's a bit too much, really. I mean, it's not that serious.
Nobody would have to listen to him again, anyway. At least,
Well, what about next to McManaman? Being the Liverpool Man United rivalry, and he's got to sit next to McManaman going in his ear hole non-stop. What's he doing?
Higher and higher until only dogs can hear him.
I know. Oh God, I hate this. I have to have no commentary whatsoever rather than listening to him, and have it in silence.
At least you haven't got to pay extra for it now.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Now, I think have you pretty much start wrapping up now because I don't think there's that much more to talk about apart from the game coming up at the weekend as well, which is.
Villa, right?
Not going to be, Villa. It's at home. I think they're not quite the same team. I knew that was going to happen before too long. I think we all did, really. They had a great start, but we knew it wasn't going to last too long. But they've still got some really good players, and they made some really good acquisitions, as we know, with Barkley and Grealish, I think, and McGinn. I think it's a really good midfield three, personally. I think they're very dangerous. So we can't take it lightly, that's for sure. But I do still fancy us to win. And I hope that Leeds keep losing the next couple of games, because I've been worried about them since the start of the season, because I love watching Leeds. I think they're an incredible side to watch, very attacking. But if they can lose the next couple as well, then fingers crossed they will lose a bit of momentum. But what's your thoughts really then? Sort of moving on to that game then, Richard, first, and are you fairly confident with that? Because I mean they've had a couple of bad defeats, haven't they?
Yeah, they have lost their last 2 games, and in fact, since they beat Liverpool, it seems as though that's the height of their season, isn't it? Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. They've got some great players, actually. I mean, Grealish is a fantastic player. That Ollie Watkins they've just got from Brentford, he's settled in really well. They have got some good midfield players. They've got a good goalkeeper apparently as well. So they've got the basis of a decent side. They have, haven't they? They've got the base of a decent side, haven't they? They've got, Tyrone Mings is a decent Premier League defender. So, I think they've got strength in all areas of the team. And last year they really struggled against relegation. This year you can see them being a comfortable mid-table, top 10 kind of side, can't you?
I think this year's Sheffield United then.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I was thinking more Leeds were going to be this season, Sheffield United, possibly, but Aston Villa could well be a similar type of season. I think they'll be a top 10 side this season. So we've got a reasonably decent record against Aston Villa, certainly at home in recent years, recent times that we've played them. I know last year we lost away, didn't we? But yes, I'd like to think that this is a game that we should be looking at winning. But if you look at our home games, our home performances this season, they've not been great, have they? West Ham, we were fortunate to win. Sheffield United, we were fortunate to win. Leicester, of course, we lost. And, Aston Villa are probably certainly better than Sheffield United are at the moment. And we struggle to beat them. I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a very difficult game. And we're going to have to play a lot better than we have been in recent home games, particularly in the Premier League. I mean, the Manchester United performance last week was an away game, and I don't think we can play like that at home, simply because the game will be different, because Aston Villa are more going to sit back, you would imagine, and look to counter on us. And I just feel that that's where we struggle, and that's why our home performance haven't been good. So we need to find a way to get through that and to get round that problem. I don't know. I think Aston Villa have won all their away games well, haven't they, so far? I think it's at home where they've lost, because they got beaten at home by Leeds, and then they got beaten at home last week as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
so
I think so. Yeah, I think it's right.
I don't think they've lost away yet. So obviously they're going away from home with a plan. It's working for them, and I think it's going to be a tough game. And to be honest, if we can win it, even if we scrape another 2-1, then we've got to be happy with that. I mean, I think it's important to build on that Man United game, isn't it? And we need to start. I know we've got an international break, which is a pain, but we need to at least go into the international break on the back of 2 Premier League wins, hopefully 2 Europa League wins as well. But to me, this game is more about the result now. It'd be nice to play well and really put in a performance at home in the Premier League. But as long as we win the game, 2 wins in a row takes us into the Leeds game on a bit of a high as well after the international break, and hopefully we can get a run going up to Christmas, because if we can do that, we're in with a chance, aren't we? Because the league is still quite open. It's looking to settle down a bit now. I think Liverpool look as though, even though they're not playing anywhere near as well as last year, they don't need to, because the rest of the league are still not as good as them, are they? And I think that's what's become clear. Man City, I think, are there for the taking this season. I don't think they're as good. So if we can get a consistent run going now, get 3 or 4 or 5 wins going before Christmas, who knows? Could put us in a very strong position at the halfway point. And then you never know. But in terms of Aston Villa, I think it's going to be a very tough game. If we can scrape it 2-1 again, I'll be delighted. I'm not expecting it to be easy at all. I'm really not. And we're going to have to play well. We're going to have to show a little bit more than we did against Leicester, certainly. If we're going to, we need to create more chances, don't we? Hopefully, I say the Man United performance can really give us a lift. Thomas Partey, we know how to get the best out of him now. Put El Neni next to him, and let's go for it. And if we do that, we've got a great chance. But I'm sure Martinez is going to come back and have a great game, isn't he? So we're going to have to. We're probably going to need quite a few goals to score, I would have thought. Because I think he'll have a great game.
I can see us playing a 4-3-3 personally, and maybe Ceballos coming into that midfield, Pepe going back out onto the right and replace Willian. What do you think, Chappers?
I think the secret. The secret lies in what we do in the midfield. Really, I think you're right with the 4-3-3 idea. I think that we have to nullify their midfield and just make sure that we can make the most out of our midfield. Really, create create a little bit of sort of vertical forward momentum, and just make sure that we are challenging for every ball, and putting them under pressure, making sure that we've got a good press going on. I think, the secret lies. The winner will be the team that wins the midfield. I think. If we
the team that scores the most goals will probably win.
Well, yes, quite right. But I think
just stick Partey and El Neni on Barkley and Grealish and say, don't let them out your pocket the whole game. And you got McGinn, but McGinn, we can obviously, he can be watched by the other players as well.
Shouldn't we be imposing our game on them? No, we're at home. We're Arsenal. They're Aston Villa. I know they're ahead of us in the league, but
I think
if we lose the ball, they're immediately on those two and don't let them out their side. Clearly, get the ball. Don't let the ball get to them. Yeah. But that's all I meant. But of course we should. That's why I said maybe go to a 4-3-3, stick in Ceballos so he can play a bit further forward, a bit more creative, a few more through balls, or Saka maybe instead of Ceballos. But then bring in Pepe again. I think he's got to bring in Pepe for that game. Really has. Really hope so.
In place of Willian.
Yes, but I don't know though, because I think Pepe's going to play maybe the full game again tomorrow, or at least 60 minutes. So I don't know. I really feel for Pepe at the moment. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off, Chappers. Carry on.
I just think it's just important that we are lively and positive and play to our strengths. If we do that and we can suppress their midfield, we have a very, very good chance of managing the game well and being quite comfortable. If for whatever reason he does some wacky kind of harebrained thing, which he has been known to do a couple of times in the past, kind of overthinking it a little bit, then we might have a bit of trouble against them, I think. But I think maybe a 2-1's probably about fair. Maybe 3-1 if we're looking at being really, really positive in the midfield and up front. 3-1. Let's go that.
I could actually see a very, hopefully not quite as similar, but you remember when we beat them 3-2 and obviously Aubameyang got the late free kick.
I
hope it's not that. I hope it's not quite leaving it that tight. But I could see a similar type of game, maybe a 3-2 type of game. I could see them scoring a couple of just really, screamers, from just on the edge of the area or something. Yeah, they've got McGinn, they've got Grealish, they've got Barkley, who can all hit one from 20-25 yards, can't they? And I could see him getting, doing that, or maybe a penalty or something like that. But I do fancy us to win, though. I really do. I think we're in a good place at the moment, even though we've only just won the last. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I really want Pepe to have a blinder. That's what I really want to see.
I really hope so.
Yeah,
if we win tomorrow, which God forbid if we don't. I think I'll quit Twitter if we don't. But if we win tomorrow, that means it's 3 games. It's 3 games on the trot then, isn't it, that we've won already. If, like you said though, Richard, if we can then just get that win, because it's the last game before the international break, isn't it? Villa. Yeah. So that 4 on the bounce if you include the 2 Europa League games as well. And that's positive, isn't it? Really positive. To go into the international break with, and who knows then? So I'm going to go. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll go 3-2, same as that other game we had against them.
That's great,
personally. Yeah,
we had 10 men in that game. Don't forget, didn't we? Do you remember Maitland-Niles was sent off, wasn't he?
It was.
We played most of it with 10 men. But it was a good game. That a game like that would be great if we come out on top. I don't care how many goals there are in if we come out on top. But I can see it being quite a similar game to their previous home games, actually. I think we'll play a similar way. I think Aston Villa will come and do a similar job that the other teams have come at it. They'll have watched them videos. They'll see the best way to nullify us. But now, of course, after the performance of Manchester United with Thomas Partey totally bossing the midfield the way that he did in El Neni, I think we can now hopefully be a little bit more expansive at home than we have been up till now. But we'll see. I mean, obviously Thomas Partey played against Leicester and it didn't really work. So, but he didn't have El Neni, did he? Super El Neni next to him. So maybe that's the key. And maybe that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, El Nino. Yeah, so maybe that's the key, and maybe that's going to make the difference. And maybe now we can go on and start to dominate games at home and start to really, take the game to the other team a lot more than we've managed to do so far. And that's, if we do that in our home games, we're going to win a lot of them, aren't we? And then if we can keep picking up away wins here and there along the way, we're going to not be far off where we want to be, are we, at the end of it? So,
right. Big question, though. I'm not going to ask you to go through the whole lineup he would have, but I think it's a very difficult one. Louise is back fit, ready for selection, but you can't, in my book, you can't drop Rob Holding after that performance he had at the weekend. So, I mean, Holding or Louise for you, Chappers, first?
Well, it really all depends on, because he took a little bit of a knock, didn't he? So it really all depends on the seriousness of what that.
Pretend he's fit. Just say he's fit.
Sorry, just say he's fit. I think I'm going to go Holding.
It's it's an interesting one, isn't it? What about you, Richard? Because I mean, it would be tough on him to be left out after that performance.
It would, but he only played at Man United because David Luiz was injured, and as well as he played, David Luiz is clearly the first option, first choice. I think not only for his performances that he's produced, but also because of his leadership qualities on the pitch. And Rob Holding played really well at Manchester United. He did. He had a great game. But I think with everybody fit and available, you go with your strongest defence, don't you? Because that's where you start from. And I think David Luiz and Gabriel and Kieran Tierney as a three have been our best back three this season, and if they're all fit and available, then you've got to play them. Unfortunately, it's hard on Rob Holding. I agree, because he's come in and done a decent job in a difficult game, but he still isn't first choice, is he? Unfortunately, yet, and I don't think he's going to become first choice because of the competition that there is when everybody's fit in that position. So I personally would put David Luiz in just for his extra experience and the fact that he's been playing really well until his unfortunate injury, and that actually changed that game, didn't it, against Leicester as well. The fact when he went off, we weren't anywhere near as good. So I would put him straight back in the team if he's fit.
Is Louise fully fit though? That's what
well, we don't know, do we? We don't know. I mean, I'll tell him,
is he fully fit?
He is available for selection. Yeah,
if he isn't fully fit, don't select him. If he's not, he's got to be 100% fit to be selected. And if he is playing, if he isn't, then no, I wouldn't even have him on the bench. I wouldn't even risk him at all. And we've got Holding who can come in and do a job. So we don't need to risk David Luiz, do we? If he's fit, he plays. If he's not quite ready, he's not quite fit, then we play Holding and it's fine. It's not going to be a problem. But if David Luiz is ready to play, then I would play him. And I think Arteta will play him because he tends to play him every game he's available, doesn't he?
Depends on tomorrow as well, I guess. Who is going to play in defence tomorrow? So we'll have to wait and see. Well, I think we'll
problem, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow will tell us a lot really about who's going to start in defence on Sunday. But I think we'll leave it there. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So, thanks to Glenn, who made a fleeting appearance. Then had to go off to tend to his Wookiee hair. So thanks there.
Yeah, well, exactly, and some election business going on as well. So that's
he said. I haven't actually had a catch up. All I've heard about it all today was a quick, WhatsApp exchange with Glenn before the show tonight, and he said that it's looking like Trump's going to win. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, seriously, that's what he said it's looked like. I mean, I haven't heard the news or anything all day, so I don't know.
No, I haven't either.
Quite close to call, I think.
All I would say is that whoever wins in the American election, we've got no right to have a go at them for whoever they voted for, because look at our prime minister.
No, exactly. I'm not going to go into all that politics stuff, but I'm just a bit shocked that. Just a bit shocked.
Well, it is. It's a shock, but it's what it is. What it is. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of options, is there? We haven't got a lot of options. We didn't have a lot of options last year. They don't have a lot of options now, do they? It's just what's there, and it's like voting for Tottenham or Chelsea, isn't it? Who'd you vote for? Do you know what I mean?
Well, he's about 80 odd years old. No, not quite, but he's nearly pushing 80, isn't he? That what's his name?
Well, they both are, really, aren't they? Because I mean, Trump's not exactly young, is he? He's not. He must be in his 60s, isn't he? Late 60s, isn't he? I'm not sure.
Can either of them play on the right wing? That's what I want to know. I'm just thinking if an extra right wing option. Right wing.
No.
God, I don't even know. I don't even know.
Do you know what? That was so bad. It went right over my head.
Well, it was. I started saying it. I thought, oh, hang on a minute.
Very, very good.
That was completely unintentional, I have to say. But anyway, on that note,
Richard, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. And tell everyone about your channel. Tell everyone about your channel and how they can reach you and watch those great videos, because I'm mostly on them as well, which just makes them
Well, it makes them better.
Sorry, Richard.
Yes, I mean, the channel's gone over and over and over again. I tend to do a weekly Positive Arsenal podcast. It's called. Andrew's normally a guest on there most of the time, which is good. It's normally, so we try and keep it positive on the channel. Funny enough, I've got an Aston Villa fan. I'm pre-recording a show with an Aston Villa fan. We're recording it tomorrow. It's going to probably go out on Saturday. So just to get an Aston Villa perspective on a weekend game. So that's going to be quite good as well. And I'm doing all the usual stuff. I'm actually trying to get a show together for Friday. I don't know whether you guys might be available to come on to preview the Villa game and look back on, obviously, the Europa League game as well on Friday. I want to get another Positive Arsenal podcast done then, because that could be quite interesting. And as well, I mean, I've got a preview prepared for the Aston Villa game as well, with past results and the kind of stuff that I tend to do on the history of the fixtures and stuff like that. And tomorrow as well, no, not tomorrow, sorry, on Friday morning, I'll be doing a more in-depth look back on the Mulder game, on how we've played and which players have stood out and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's loads of stuff coming up on the channel as well over the next sort of 3 or 4 days. And then, of course, there's an international break, so there's not a lot going on. Plus, I've got a new job starting on Monday, so I'm going to be a bit busier than I have been in the last few weeks. Yes?
Congratulations.
Oh,
yeah. It's only working from home. It's a job working from home, which is great. So it means I haven't got to travel about, and it suits me for the minute, and it keeps me out of trouble. And it just might mean there's a few less videos every week that I can get a chance to do starting Monday. So I'm going to try and get as much done as I can this week, so that I've got a few bits and pieces to put out next week and see where we go. But it's over and over and over again. So I say pop over there. I say there's Friday, then we'll get a podcast on Friday, and I say I've got a show with the Aston Villa fan who's coming on. I'll probably put it out Saturday at some point, maybe Saturday morning, and that'd be good as well. So I say loads of stuff coming up, so check out that as well. And say thanks for having me on your channel again, Andrew. I know I know you've had a few issues with your channel. It's good that you're back up and running anyway.
yeah, I got it all sorted. It was all. Well, I won't go. I'll tell you after. But yeah, all sorted. So that's great. Great to be back. And thank you again. And chappers, obviously, thanks again. And we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
But yeah, you're welcome. Welcome anytime, Richard, as well. By the way, sorry, go on, chappers.
I was just saying, yeah, thanks for having me, and good to see you as well, Rich.
Yeah,
you're a permanent. You're a permanent fixture. So I don't have you. If that's, I don't want to. Sounds a bit wrong, but not anymore, do I? You're always on it.
Very familiar.
Exactly. Oh, right. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Thank you, Tony. Thanks to Winston. Thanks to everyone else that we've been watching us throughout the evening. It's been much appreciated, and thanks for all your input. It's been great. Please make sure you give us a like before you go, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. But yeah, without further ado, we'll look forward to seeing you next week, and we will end it there. So thank you very much.
Cheerio.
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Gunners. Come on. You can beat Mould. Easy. Come on. Beat Mould.
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
Come on, you Gunners. Are we still on?